Agenda 2030 isn't simply about global aspirations. It is about local responsibilities that we tend to fall short of. And on the other hand, we're doing a great job on. It's asking ourselves, what can I do right where I am to improve someone else's future? And why? And, most oftentimes when I say that to my people around me, mainly my kids, well, mainly my daughter, she always say, well, what did they do for me? Ain't nobody reach out to me. And you want to know what? In hindsight, she is correct. But communication goes both ways. But in terms of building to help somebody else, someone did it for me. I did it for her or them, and they have a due diligence to do it for others. Because every opportunity we create, every barrier we remove, every life we strengthen, moves us one step to achieving Sustainable Development Goal 1. No poverty. That's Agenda 2030 in action. So our leadership reflection question is, what action will you take today or this week to create a future where opportunity is more accessible to everyone? Did that wake you up? Because I love to learn how you're going to achieve that. One of the things I've learned throughout my leadership journey is that the most powerful lessons don't simply come from theories. Nope, not at all. They come from seeing leadership in action, role modeling, mimicking, observing, right? That's why every episode this season includes a segment called Leadership in Practice. And this is a chance to reflect on what leadership that delivers results look like in the real world. Today's Leadership in Practice highlights a young lady I've been following. Her name is Christine Flowers, and I don't know if she'll be listening to this or pick it up later, but if you hear it, let her know. She has been fighting to solve homelessness in Baltimore City for about 18, 20 years now. And when I'm thinking about leadership in practice, that's her, right? She run a nonprofit. She has received some type of grant or X, Y, Z, not what she wants or what she needs, but she hasn't allowed that to stop her. She does have a radio segment on WOLB, I believe. I think it comes on Tuesdays. I'm going to say at 12:30, right? And every time I turn around, you see out in the streets, crossing over into the county, back into the city, blasting public servants that's not doing what they're supposed to do. Then while praising other people while helping her do what she needs to do. Immediately when I think of a champion in the homeless space, I think of her. Hands down, leadership in practice. So Christine Flowers, shout out to you. And what make the partnerships that she needs to make the world go round for homeless people or misplaced people or families is the fact that the partnerships that she seeks aren't just simple programs that are offered. Like, she's looking for meaningful, sustainable, viable solutions that's going to not get these people temporarily relief, but get them on their feet. And you have to applaud that, right? And it's the mindset behind her passion and her action that makes her a hero. And leaders from different sectors have chosen to stop asking, what can my organization accomplish alone, to how can our community accomplish together? That's leadership. That's Christine Flowers, right? And so she embodies the epitome of what collaboration is. And, that's just one example of how leadership creates pathway out of poverty by expanding opportunity rather than simply responding to need. And before we move forward, I like to leave with one final reflection in this leadership and practice segment. Who could you partner with today to help create greater opportunity for someone else tomorrow? Because Leadership that delivers results isn't measured by what we accomplish alone, guys. Now, let me add some substance behind it before we move on. Obviously, when you first start out in a business, addressing a need, you know, any of that, it's going to be you. You know, it's going to be you. Let me drive it home this way. So, right around fourth quarter, the holidays, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, somewhere between Thanksgiving and Christmas, people pick up the holiday 30, right? And hindsight, they want to lose the summer 50. So what do people typically do? And I say we because I used to be that person at one point, when I wasn't really thinking straight and as clearly as I could have. It's simply everybody gets together and you get all of these challenges and the gym is jam packed on January 1st. I mean, you got the squat challenge going on, you got the yoga challenge going on, you got the chair challenge going on, you got the hula hoop challenge going on, you got the jump rope challenges going on, you got the shadow boxing challenges going on, and you got the gym challenge going on. And right around January 3rd, the excitement dies down. The passion fizzles out. People didn't even lose a half a pound. The group is no longer grouping. And by day 7 through 10, it's back to a desert. Either in a gym or the momentum behind all these challenges because people started it for all the wrong reasons. Because instead of going at it for themselves, they're going at it as a result of someone else. So in that instance, people are going to start a journey by themselves, right? And it makes sense to do so because before you jump into the we, you have to look in the mirror every day and understand your why. Because the why, your group is not going to keep the momentum going when you really have an internal goal and want to have an external outcome. So you got to figure out that why, whether it's losing weight, whether it's starting a program, whether it's starting a side hustle, launching a business, you got to figure out that why. And as you're figuring out that the answer to that why and the intricacies and building the infrastructure and building the systems, right? Eventually, you're not going at it alone. You begin to realize that you have to bring people into the fold. And that's when measurement can really be achieved. It's measured by what becomes possible when we choose to lead together. So yes, you're going to start out by yourself, like in a fitness journey, in a weight loss journey, in a nutrition journey, in a waking up every day journey, right? And then eventually you get to the point where, so you're saying enough is enough. The infrastructure is there. I'm now ready to bring in somebody to help expand and reach the opportunity, all those other things. Make sense? I love me. Yes. All right. As we begin bringing today's conversation together, let's reflect through our results framework. Another new segment for season 2. Leadership should always leave us with more inspiration. It should leave us with greater clarity, greater purpose, and a renewed commitment to action, not just wonk, 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 wonk. So let's reflect together. What challenge did we explore today? Do you remember? Great. We challenged the belief that poverty is inevitable and explored how leadership can create pathways that expand opportunity, strengthen communities, and improve lives. You remember? We also explored leadership, what leadership principle emerged. Do you remember? Exactly. The leadership principle that emerged is that leadership creates opportunity. For sure, for sure. Rather than accepting barriers as permanent, effective leaders build systems, partnerships, and solutions that help people move towards stability and success. You guys are doing good. It's early, but you're doing good. Okay. What other challenge came up? How does all of this help to disrupt poverty? I know. It's a lot. So let me just tell you. Poverty is disrupted when opportunity expands. Constantly we talking about this expansion, right? When education improves, and remember, education, you're a lifelong learner as a person. If you're breathing, you're always being educated, structured or unstructured. Poverty is disrupted when workforce pathways increase, when mentorship becomes intentional, not situational, when communities invest in people before problem becomes crisis, before prevention, not intervention or postvention. Leadership is one of the most powerful tools we have for creating those opportunities. And how does this support today's Agenda 2030 goal? Sustainable Development 1 reminds us that ending poverty requires more than assistance. We can't just wake up and rub the magic bottle and poof comes out a genie and we say end all poverty, because that would end humanity, right? It does require leadership that expands. There we go again. The word of the day is expands access, strengthens systems, and create lasting pathways to prosperity. What results should we pursue? Obviously, not simply reducing barriers, because that's not going to get us nowhere, but increasing opportunity. Not simply helping people survive, but helping people to thrive. Not simply responding to poverty, but creating communities where opportunity becomes the expectation rather than the exception. It's that simple, y'all. You know, every meaningful conversation should end with a practical action. That's what I believe. That's why each episode, each week, I'll leave you with what I call the leadership blueprint. That's 5 practical leadership commitments designed to help you move from inspiration to implementation. And as you go throughout the week, I encourage you to carry these 5 principles with you. The first principle in the leadership blueprint is simply lead. I want you to lead with courage. Not every opportunity begins with abundant resources, not at all. Sometimes it begins with one leader who is willing to believe in possibility before anyone else does, right? Because it always takes someone to launch that pilot. So ask yourself, what opportunity am I creating that didn't exist yesterday, beyond waking up this morning, right? Because leadership begins when we decide to become part of the solution, not dragging out the problem. Principle 2, learn, right? We're always talking about being lifelong learners. I want you to remain curious. Ask thought-provoking questions. Remain teachable. Don't be a know-it-all that you can't bend and adapt. Remain committed to lifelong learning. Whether you want to or not, you're always going to be learning on the job and through life, because the challenges facing our communities continuing to evolve. This time last year, we were only facing a big, beautiful bill that wasn't beautiful anymore. A year later, the big, beautiful bill and something else that came right after it has dismantled the Department of Education, has no longer acknowledged professional degrees, have sent us back, thousands of years with plus loans and student loans and Social Security and all that other stuff. So the challenges facing our communities will continue to evolve, and our leadership must evolve as well. So we have to continue reading. We have to continue listening. We have to continue asking thoughtful questions. Do not believe or relate or settle for the status quo. The best leaders never stop learning, because they understand that learning expands perspective, and perspectives improve relationships. Number 4, Partner. No leader creates lasting change alone. Think about someone you've never collaborated with before. I know I'm going through that right now with my leadership summit for October 3rd. I am intentionally not going to people that I've worked with before. I made it my mission that I'm going to expand outside of my comfort zone and roll over into those areas of people who I want to be rubbing elbows with, teaching and learning, to start collaborating with them more, because they're going to eventually help move the needle from micro to macro, put a dent in that, fill that equator hole, and move that hamster wheel to a Ferris wheel, right? Perhaps it's another organization, another school, another nonprofit, another business, another community leader. Listen, reach out, start the conversation, because one authentic partnership can create opportunities that neither organization could create independently. I want to pause there for a second. I met a person about back in October. Actually, I reached out to him to be a part of a forum that I was hosting or creating. And as a result, unfortunately, he wasn't available. So fast forward September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 7 months. He showed up to another forum I was